I've had to change rooms twice. And why do we do it? Because presumably there'll be protests on the streets if we don't.
Yeah, everyone will come out with their placards. It'll be the sort of drama that I think Donald Trump has been receiving when he turns up in court. A lot of unrest in society, but we have to persist.
We have to persist. Just full disclosure, this is smack bang in the middle of the workday, and if you're my boss and you're listening to this, we tell a lot of jokes on this podcast. But I am, full disclosure, I am in. I've gone from bunch of meetings this morning. I'm very much in the headspace of work.
Okay.
So you might get a little LinkedIn mic.
Okay.
On this one,
I'm okay with meeting LinkedIn Mike. Like,
great.
This is we've encountered a lot of characters from you over the years. Famously, Mikey's horoscopes. We had a glimpse of the other side, the sort of mystical side. We've had musical side. We've had all kinds of Jim Gab kind of Mike. I'm really interested to meet LinkedIn Workday Mike, because this is a flavor I don't get very often.
And look, it's probably the worst flavor because there's no flavor.
Oh,
okay. It's it's the Soylent version of me. Really, it's like all the nutrients.
But isn't that there's no pizzazz. All of the things? Isn't Soylent people sort of implying the fact that a Soylent version of you is actually just a normal you, because that's the one thing that is actually human flesh?
Okay. It's just a Jatz biscuit. It's just a Jatz cracker.
Can I be honest?
You love Jatz.
I love a Jatz.
Yeah.
I do love a Jatz.
Because you're white.
Because I'm a basic bitch.
Because you're a basic motherfucking bitch.
Can I tell you what Jatz represents to me? Jatz for me, and they're not here in New Zealand, so I haven't had Jatz in years. But what they represent for me, I am dying. They have Ritz, and to be honest, as a Jatz lover, if you put a Ritz on the table in front of me, I'm sorry, you can fuck off.
What are these cracker companies naming Jatz and Ritz? It's like they're trying to imply some sophistication where it's
classy.
A cracker.
It's like a good hotel.
How is it a class? Okay, go on.
It's like a good hotel. You want it.
Yeah.
You want quiet, respectful service without it getting in your face, right? You want them present, but you don't want to make a deal about it. They're there downstairs when you need them. That's what the Jatz and Ritz brand is all about.
Yeah. Following.
Even though Ritz obviously dog shit. Jatz to me represents like a sick day childhood Nick, where you come home from school and I don't know, maybe you're a bit sick, you don't have much of an appetite or something like that. What a Jatz was for me was a 2:30 p.m. snack, a little bit of Jatz, a little bit of Vegemite, maybe a tiny little sliver of cheese or something, and just enough of an appetite filler to help when you're not feeling very good.
We had very different childhoods. Very, very different.
Well, because you didn't check into Shave Jatz with all of the classy hotel amenities thereof.
Well, to me, Jatz, those types, I've never been a cracker guy. I mean, I am a cracker racially, I guess, but even that's debatable. But I don't, crackers and Jatz, they never had anything. Maybe a little bit. They've got a little bit of salt, and that saves it. But it's just dry, and I hate putting dry things in my mouth. Quote it.
Let me just grab a pen. I'll just pop that one down. I don't think the goal is to eat them by themselves, so that might be where your first mistake was.
Okay.
If you're not splurging on a dip or on a spread, then I can understand. I appreciate.
Well, I'm not. I've famously, everyone knows this. But I hate Vegemite. It's a joke. I genuinely think it's a prank pulled on Australians to see how far they can go with taste and saltiness and also it's black. It is just, who puts a black spread, actually black spread, on a piece of toast? It's tar. What are you doing? You've been had.
Okay. So interesting sort of first notes on Workday, Mike. Very conspiratorial. very, very strong energy of like
Yeah.
the world is out to get us, and I'm not falling for this trick. So interesting.
A bit of crossover between tinfoil hat Mike
Yeah.
and LinkedIn Mike, actually.
Why
which
is the world
strange.
doing this to me?
Yeah.
Same questions can be asked about aliens and about capitalism.
Exactly.
Welcome to Deep Thought, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And if hypothetically, and not in a legally binding sense, someone was recording this during a workday, thank you to those people as well for making the time. This is a podcast in which we discuss the important things going on in our lives and your lives. Sitting through the internet with me this week, my friend Michael. Hello.
Absolute pleasure to be here.
Wow, it is just different, isn't it? It takes a little bit of adjustment, but I'm liking it. I'm liking it.
Also a bit British for some reason.
Like famously professional. And I'm Nick. Hi, nice to be here. Episode 228. A lot of people have been saying this is the big one.
Okay. Who are those people?
Well, just on the street, they come up to it, tears in their eyes. I heard
It's your birthday yesterday.
Hey, it was. Thank you for remembering.
Happy birthday for yesterday, Nick.
Thank you very kindly. The big 35.
35. Now that's something, because you're no longer early 30s.
You know what? You know where I think I'll feel it? Filling out online forms.
And you're back.
And back.
Probably.
Yeah, lower back. But no, filling out, 18 to 34. That's not me anymore. I'm going to have to tick a new box.
Yeah, the range has changed.
The range, the demographic range is gone.
Why is that the range?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's some kind of market sector thing in terms of like buying power or stage of life, something like that. I don't know.
What's the next range after that?
I think it's like 35 to 49 and then like 50 to 65.
Well, what's interesting? I was saying to my dad the other day that, we're born a week apart, Nick and I. So I'll be there next week, all things going well.
Yeah.
And we'll be closer to 50 now than we are to 20 at 35.
We'll be closer to 50 than to 20. Yeah, that's true.
Which sucks. Which really sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. They're both quite far away at this point. If I think about how long it feels since I was 20, like in terms of the actual life that I've lived, that feels like a long time ago, which makes me feel slightly better about the fact that if the same amount of time has to elapse again before I'm 50, like that feels quite a long time.
Yeah. But then in between that, there's 40 and 45, which is also very old.
Well,
no offense to the older demographic
listeners
of this podcast.
I don't know. I think these days, most people seem to be getting up towards 80, 90 these days. So I don't even really think I'm anywhere near halfway through. So
yeah, I guess it's just the perception of what you think. And even that's getting further away, like 50 to us. You look at photos of someone who's 50 in, 1960, and they are probably like closer to 70 in terms of how they look in today's years.
If you look at people who were 35, like back then, they look like they're in their mid 50s. Like the youthfulness of like sunblock, medical improvements, health knowledge, that all contributes in like a general.
So do you think it's actually that? Because I
100%.
I guess that because I was kind of thinking that it's like just the clothes that they wear, seem older. But
there's certainly a contextual thing there. But no, legitimately, I think there was an article in maybe Vox or similar.
Yeah, I remember that.
Talking about why do people who were 30 look that old? And I think the general consensus was, one, healthcare's better. Vaccinations are better. Medical access is improved. Diets are drastically improved. The kind of food that we have access to, the fresh fruits and vegetables. We have an understanding of what's needed. And then skincare and like wearing hats and sunblock and that kind of thing legitimately just keeps your skin looking younger.
Well, I definitely agree with, the skincare stuff, and then also smoking, I guess, plays a huge part of that. Probably the effects of alcohol is, not as, demonized as it is today. But in terms of the food stuff, I would push back on that a little bit because, they didn't have, ultra processed foods to the degree that we have them today. It's a lot of meat and 3 veg. 60s?
Sure.
50s, 60s?
I would think that when I think 1950s, I think housewives tipping things out of cans. Opening a lot of canned veggies, canned beets, canned carrots, that sort of stuff. I don't think there was the
Yeah.
same degree of like fresh produce access, because I don't think we'd really hit a supermarket era. Like most of the stuff there was local grocers, which meant you didn't have
Mm.
those national transportation hubs bringing out of season or out of geographic region fruits and veggies to you to eat anytime you wanted.
It's a good point. You're a very hard guy to argue with, I gotta say.
No, I'm just this is an area which I had actually read an article about.
Yeah. Well, we're getting older, but we're looking fresh. We're still exercising.
Yeah, yeah. I just had
You
a
know,
PT session this morning.
well, look at you.
Yeah. How
Look
are
at
you?
you.
How are you feeling about the last week of your 34? Are you looking forward to your birthday? Are you excited for a bit of a celebration?
We are. Did I tell you what we're having? I'm just having a small group of friends over tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, and Ben and I are going to cook up some Spanish food,
Oh, that's
and
nice.
I think it'll be nice.
Why
Yeah,
did you pick
I don't
Spanish?
know. I don't know. I
Oh,
just thought I'd like to cook some patatas bravas and
yeah.
maybe a slow cooked lamb with salsa verde, something like that.
This is
So I
going to
just picked it.
show my ignorance, but is patatas bravas Spanish and not like
Oh yeah,
Mexican?
no, it's definitely Spanish.
Yeah, you're right. Dish native
Oh,
to Spain.
did you hear that, everyone? Nick just said my three favorite words.
I was wrong. Um,
Um, yeah, so that'll be nice, but something chill. But I didn't think of it like the last week of my 34ness until you just said that. So that's kind of a bummer.
well, look, I got some news for you. You're constantly aging all the time, so
Yeah,
arbitrarily marking the turnover with a birthday doesn't make it any faster of a path to death.
yeah. I mean, you should put that on a birthday card, Nick. That'd be
Well,
that'd be great.
my
Is
sister's card for me this year was happy birthday, I think you're great, asterisk. And then the asterisk says, in brackets, despite what people say. I was like, yeah,
that's
that's a
not
good card.
bad. Like edgy, I think there's a real market. I'm sure it exists, but like isn't there like a market for like a really like kind of mean spirited greeting card?
Yeah, I think I've seen some of them. There are a couple around. But I mean, we're not saying anything new to say that all greeting cards are terrible. But yeah, there are, it feels like these days, there's a brand over here called Typo that has a bunch of kind of shitty cards, as in like
Yeah, I
deliberately
know
kind
them.
of provocative cards.
Yeah. But I mean, like really, like mean, like almost like racist or something. Just like,
So your new
just
business
like
card is,
you're fat. Just something like that.
um,
Just
yeah,
spitballing.
I mean, you can start a spin off a
I
side
could
project if you want.
find me
There's
on
nothing
Etsy.
there's nothing stopping you from just buying a sheet of card and putting it in your printer and printing one out.
Yeah, because I have a printer. Because
Yeah.
I was born in '89, Nick.
You
I
were
don't
born
have
in
a
the
printer.
1900s, Michael.
So what did Casey get you?
He got me a
Hey,
very nice present that I had actually explicitly requested. So last year
keep
I
it
had.
G-rated, please.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to mention all of that other stuff. But the last year I bought a art print by Stanley Donwood, who you of course will know as the Radiohead artist guy,
Mm-hmm.
and it was quite expensive, and I spent my budget buying it, and then I didn't have any money to hang it, so it's just been sitting in a tube waiting for that. So Casey has taken it to a frame store, and it's going to be properly hung, so now I can have it up on the wall, which is exactly what I wanted.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Really thoughtful.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I got some books from Dad. I got a hoodie from George. Yeah, it was all very nice.
Huh, good stuff. And you're having dinner tonight with your friends.
Yeah, going out for dinner. A bunch of us going into town for some
Did you pick the
Japanese food.
restaurant?
I did, yeah. I picked
Japanese.
like a modern Japanese rameny bar kind of thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
now is this a situation? How many friends?
8 of us are going.
8. Yeah. When you have friends out for dinner like that, do you expect that you probably won't have to pay for yourself, or do you just hope to be surprised? Or you don't think
I
about it at all?
I am perfectly happy to find. I would not expect to. Perfectly happy to pay, I should say. I would not expect to, just because I think KC will probably take it. But
The whole thing.
yeah, well, it's only for two of us. He's not going to pay for all eight of them.
Oh yeah, okay.
But yeah, so off that, I would, I would not expect to have to pay just from prior history. But I also wouldn't expect my friends to pay for me either. We don't really do presents.
Yeah, so this is a great opportunity. Couple of extra bucks on your bill for dinner and cover the old Nicky Blue Eyes for his birthday. I think that's pretty
nice.
fair.
That's nice. Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you're one of Nick's friends who got the call up, then
it won't.
You're probably listening to this after.
Yeah, I was going to say it won't be until after it's happened.
So if you didn't do that,
so do you want to?
I want a Nick's friend who went to dinner.
Yeah,
I want to shame.
Yeah.
I want to shame.
Well, that's
shame on you.
Thank you for having my back.
Nick does so much for you. You can't even pay an extra $20 for dinner. You're greedy.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. And the same to you. I mean, are you expecting everyone to chip in money for a Spanish feast you're cooking up?
No, I mean that's different because I have to buy all the ingredients prior.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's.
But would you expect someone to be like, "Hey, can I chuck some money in for?"
No.
So we're on the same page then.
Yeah, it's different. If I went to dinner, I might be like, "Meh, where were we?" Hard edit.
Well, I've got a bit of a topic for you this week, Michael, and I think we could almost fairly call it a science news. So let's Oh no, we might take that again.
The bee saved you there.
Yeah, that was a life. That was like a grappling hook falling off the cliff.
Yeah, just I need a consonant.
Just like
I need a consonant.
Shit. Yeah. So let's play that good old jingle.
Okay.
It's that time. Time for science news.
Really hope you keep that first one.
Nope, not happening. Okay, I got a lovely little article here in Noble magazine. Here's the title: Scientists scrutinize happiness research. From meditation to smiling, researchers take a second look at studies claiming to reveal what makes us happy. I'm going to give a bit of a summary here, Michael, and then we can jump into some chit-chat. So, we all want to be happy, and for decades, psychologists have tried to figure out how we might achieve that blissful state. The field's many surveys and experiments have pointed to a variety of approaches, from giving stuff away, to quitting Facebook, to forcing one's face into a toothy grin. But psychology has undergone serious upheaval over the last decade as researchers have realized that many studies were unreliable and unrepeatable. That's led to a closer scrutiny of psychological research methods, with the study of happiness no exception. So, what really makes us happy? Under today's more careful microscope, some routes to happiness seem to hold up, while others appear not to or have yet to reprove themselves. Here's what we know so far. Actually, before I get into the rest of this, if I was to pitch you now, what is it that you think makes humans happy on a whole? What would you point to as a fundamentals?
That is such a good question. Humans, like in general,
in a broad, scientifically verifiable, perhaps, or like universal way, what are the things that make us happy?
Well, I would guess that human connection is very big. Not feeling lonely, having someone that you feel loves you, and that you can love. My first instinct was to say that not having to worry about the future, or not having too much time to worry, because I feel like worry now, now that we have, we're less acting on survival than we did, even in the 1910s, say.
Yeah.
and then we have a little bit more time, and it's a bit more luxurious, and we have space to choose what career we want, blah blah blah. But it also forces us to think inwards, and I think that can make us miserable, and it is making us miserable. Yeah, I don't know. I think as long as if you have your basic needs met, what makes you happy, I think, is probably primarily human connection.
I think that's a good answer. Do you think that that's a universal thing? Do you think that there's also specific stuff there? Is there room for both big picture things and then individual variances in human to human? Or do you think
what do you mean?
So we're talking about things like social connection. Those are obviously things you're trying to extrapolate to every human. I wonder if you think in that model there is a specificity too, where you could say like one person gets happy when they, watch a toddler fall over into a puddle at the park, or like a kitten purring on a thing, but another person might not have that response. Do you think that all of that subjective happiness can still be summed up in like a universal theory, or do you think that there is some stuff which is just different from human to human?
Well, there's definitely stuff that makes you happy. I mean, that's the other thing. I don't know if happiness is a permanent state. Maybe contentedness is more of a permanent state, and maybe that's what people mean when they say happy. I think I can be happy at different points of the day, but I wouldn't say that, maybe I didn't have a happy day. I might put on There'll Be Blood, and then I'm happy for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then probably an hour after, because the afterglow effect of There'll Be Blood.
Of course,
But, I don't know if, over a period of a month, just because I watched There'll Be Blood, that I would, I was happy for that month.
Well, I might skip ahead to this study where they made 212 people watch There Will Be Blood. It says here only one person found that brought them into a happy state. Wow. So you might be slightly okay. On the outer end of that bell curve.
Interesting test.
It's 212 people. That's a relatively small sample size. So. All right, I'll jump back into this article here. So one long-standing hypothesis is that smiling makes you feel happier. You would have heard this, Michael. In a classic 1988 study, researchers asked 92 Illinois undergraduates to hold a felt tip pen in their mouth, either with their teeth, forcing an unnatural grin, or with their lips, making them pout. The students then looked at 4 examples of the Far Side comics. On average, those with the forced smiles found the one-panel comics slightly funnier than those with the forced pouts. But when 17 different research labs got together to retest the pen clench smiles effects on 1,900 new participants, the finding failed to hold up. The repetition study was part of a broader effort to counter psychology's reproducibility crisis, which in part has been attributed to the variety of ways in which researchers could examine and reanalyze their data until they arrived at publishable results. It's kind of like shooting a bunch of arrows at the wall and drawing the bullseye on after, says Elizabeth Dunn, a social psychologist at the University of British Columbia. One solution has been for scientists to publicly declare or pre-register their analysis plans before they conduct their experiments. In other words, they draw the bullseye first. So they put out there what they're planning to test and how they're planning to test for it. And that means that there's some external, feedback that they can use to make sure that the thing they're trying to study and the way they're trying to go about it will be enough to actually create scientifically valid results. So Dunn and her graduate student homed in on such pre-registered studies in their analysis and narrowed the vast field of happiness research to just 48 published papers. Quote, I was actually surprised there were as many papers that qualified. That really demonstrates this area of research has adopted a lot of these new rigor-enhancing practices. So this doesn't guarantee, like pre-registering and putting through the methodology out there first, doesn't guarantee the results will be correct or solve all of the reproducibility problems. They also require sound methods and diverse sets of participants and that sort of thing. But most of the papers reviewed here were high quality. Take gratitude. In one of the recent studies, researchers asked hundreds of parents to either write about how they spent their week or pen a gratitude letter to someone they knew. Expressing gratitude resulted in more positive moods. In another recent study, scientists asked more than 900 undergraduates to express gratitude in letters, texts, or social media, or to list their daily activities. Those in the gratitude group scored as happier and more satisfied with their lives the following day. In both cases, it's unclear how long these effects would persist. 3 different pre-registered studies pointed to sociability as beneficial, so you're correct. In one, scientists assigned 71 adults to act extroverted, quote, bold, talkative, outgoing, active, and assertive for 1 week, and another 76 to be unassuming, sensitive, calm, modest, and quiet. Participants in the extroverted condition reported better moods during the study week, though the benefits were less for those who are naturally introverted. And, surprise, smiling to promote happiness was also supported by new pre-registered research, once scientists switched to more natural grins. About 24 labs from 19 different countries worked together to test that grip a pen in the teeth sort of way of smiling, or mimicking the expression of a smiling person. In nearly 4,000 people, the pen clenching still didn't work, but people who were told to copy a smile did report better moods. Remarkably, this was true even if the subjects didn't believe it would work. So researchers have found that external agencies can promote people's happiness. Giving people cash promoted life satisfaction, as did workplace interventions like naps. So I'll take a bit of a break here and just summarize some of the stuff that we talked about, because you were quite on the money there. You hit on the life situation stuff, talking about if you get given money, makes your life easier. There's happiness in it.
Okay.
Having a nap. I mean, we all love a nap.
All right.
Sociability, 100%. They tested it in the form of extroversion and the way that you approached the world. But I think you've hit on something there in terms of the connectedness with other people. So I think your instincts there are really good.
And the smiling one's interesting.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. Well, maybe, next time, ladies, a man on the street tells you to smile more. Maybe instead of having a go at him, maybe take a second to think, maybe he's got my best interests at heart.
Yeah. I agree. You've unwound some of that classic sexist trope there and found a really, sincere way to scientifically justify it.
Exactly.
Now, let me talk about a couple of things that didn't produce happiness. So,
Wait, can I just say one thing about naps?
Yeah.
So naps, isn't that just, though, being tired and cranky? Yeah. Is that what that just suggests? Like getting enough sleep?
But I think...
Why is it naps?
Well, I guess it's talking about adding naps into the workplace. So the idea that you can then, take a break during the day or like de-stress a little bit. People find work typically to be a place of not fun, right? So I'm guessing anything that gives you a relief, lets you recuperate, lets you take a break there is going to improve happiness.
If I had to take a nap at the office, I would be so much more stressed than if I didn't have to do that.
I don't think they're forcing you to take a nap.
No, I'm just imagining all of my colleagues on the ground.
All right, guys,
it's
1:15.
It's nap time. And we're all just like kind of spooning and lying on top of each other like in kindergarten.
Like a preschool class, yeah.
And they're just playing a bell.
A bell? What were they doing at your preschool?
Oh, you don't want to know.
Oh. Yeah, I think the idea of naps, independent of context, is probably not necessarily a happiness booster. But as you say, like just stopping being tired is probably a nice improvement generally. But yeah, They're talking about it in a workplace.
Yeah.
Let me talk about some things that are nice ideas but have had poor results. So the researchers didn't find clear evidence of benefits for volunteering, performing random acts of kindness, or meditation. For example, a recent pre-registered study asked participants to perform acts of kindness for others or for themselves, or simply to list what they did each day. Being kind to others over a 4-week period made no difference to well-being. Dunn and Folk also didn't find any pre-registered studies at all on exercising or spending time in nature, which are 2 often recommended strategies. That doesn't mean they don't work, but that they just haven't, been studied properly. Proven. The pair considered only 2 pre-registered studies on meditation and didn't include meditation research on people with diagnosed mental health problems.
That's a relief, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm sick of people telling me to start meditating to feel happier.
Yeah. There's actually a response here, though, which is probably counter to what you just said. The rigor of this approach of making sure everything's pre-registered is admirable, but it does mean that you can miss things, says Simon Goldberg, a psychologist at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He studies the effects of meditation, including research among people who have psychological problems like depression and anxiety. He noted that because of this strict criteria, they omitted hundreds of studies on meditation's benefits. It is, in the spirit of rigor, throwing lots of babies out with the bathwater, he says. It's really very obvious that meditation training reduces symptoms of anxiety and depression. Dunn agrees that the review only covered the tip of the iceberg of happiness research, but the tip should expand as more psychologists pre-register their sites as part of what some call a renaissance in the field. As Dunn and Folk conclude, happiness research stands on the brink of an exciting new era. So there is plenty of research out there that suggests that it does have benefits, but because they excluded it for people who had mental health problems, they have not concluded that way.
Well, I guess the gratitude thing is part of meditation or mindfulness or something.
It can be,
so
yeah, for sure.
Little part of that. Wait, so let me ask you this, just because we were talking about people with mental health issues. So kind of back to what I was saying before about happiness is, potentially a fleeting state. So sad is to happy as depression is to what? What's the other side of the happy thing that is like the equivalent of depression?
Like a hypomania, like in a bipolar sense, like a extreme exuberance. And
do you reckon?
Like the old term, which is not used anymore, but like the idea of a manic depressive, right? It was sort of depicting two ends of that spectrum, where there'd be the super depressive side and there'd be the hyperactive manic phases, right?
I don't know if that fits for me. I mean, like just in terms of the definition that you've just said, wouldn't it be, maybe it's contentedness, isn't it? Depression and contentedness are
I guess the way I was interpreting your question was the idea that there is a quote unquote like disordered end of the spectrum, right? Like you can be sad when it's like, oh shit, I dropped my ice cream, and then you can be depressed, which is like a clinical chemical problem, right? So when you're posing it that way, and I was looking at happiness and thinking, what's the other side of it? I was thinking, okay, there's a chemical imbalance that is making you manic or over excitable. But you're right that if you're talking sort of more
because mania loosely, is fleeting as well. Mania lasts.
Yeah. I mean, it
doesn't usually last for months.
No, absolutely.
Anyway, phone in if you know.
Yeah, I do think that your discussion of contentedness is actually really interesting, because I agree. I don't think that you should seek eternal happiness, right? No. Because I think that's unrealistic, and I think you can be happy. Like I'll go out to dinner and I'll really enjoy my a few hours with my friends and everything, but expecting every moment of every day to be at that level of happiness is unrealistic.
Yeah, and then you don't really you need a little bit of space in order to appreciate your happiness, because if you're just happy all the time, you're probably just an idiot for one thing. But you need a little down to appreciate the up.
Yeah, you need a bit of context. Yeah. Do you have?
I mean, that doesn't really work for the other side though, because you can just be sad like permanently, and you don't need to be like, I'm only sad because I was happy.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Do you have particular techniques that you are able to deploy? Like, are you self-aware enough in a moment when you're like, oh shit, I'm feeling down today. What do I need? Like, what would make me feel better? Do you have some go-tos there? Do you have any techniques that you use?
Yeah, I don't know if they're great. It's usually opening a bottle of wine. That'll help initially, but then I tend to not sleep as well. So then I wake up even worse, and then wouldn't you know it, old Mikey boy is in another cycle. Yeah, I don't know. I think lately. I mean, by lately, I mean in my early to mid 30s, prioritizing sleep. Like in my 20s, I just did not give a fuck. I'd pull all-nighters all the time. I'd be happy going to bed at 3, waking up at 6 for work. I wouldn't care. So I think prioritizing sleep, going to bed at 10, Laura and I go to bed at 10, if not earlier, every night. And it's so much better. I know exercise was not proven or whatever, but I think getting into I'll say this, routine, healthy habits, sleep, exercise, regularity, trying not to booze it up too much.
Yeah. I mean, those are good sort of overarching maintenance kind of fundamentals there. I guess I was wondering if you have a in the moment thing that you could deploy. Like, is there do you throw on some music to like get yourself out of a mood? Do you like to go for a run or something, like go walk in nature or something? Is there anything that you can deploy like situationally?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I mean, I have gone for walks from time to time. I'm literally always listening to music every second of the day. So, I like not changing. I'm sure you have this too, because we've got, vaguely similar tastes with this. Like, I'll be playing, I'll just play, what people think is depressing music all day long.
Yeah.
And I think it's, uplifting.
Yeah.
So I don't my satisfaction or my the emotion that I derive from music, I think comes from within anyway. That was a bit of a tangent. I actually don't know. It's kind of worrying me that I don't have a good answer for you, because honestly, I do think that if I am feeling a little low, I will have a drink. Because it's the only thing that works, but it only works in the moment. I'm not saying I'll have a drink at 11 a.m. I'm saying,
at the end of a tough
over the
day
course
or
of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 p.m.
I don't think you're alone in that. I mean, and I'm not certainly holding myself out to be like a bastion of that either. There are certainly times when I think, if I am, feeling unproductive or feeling, disappointed or something, I like to get out and go for a walk, because I feel like, my life already is quite contained because I work from home, and often part of that, I think you can just be like, okay, you need to leave this room for a bit. You need to go and walk along the creek. And that is always sort of a nice, like, I'm pretty sure, though it may not have been verified by these people, but I'm pretty sure there is connections between like being out in nature and improving mood. So I think a go-to.
I think using something as like a circuit breaker can work. And when you said that, kind of just jogged my memory that I don't do this all the time, but I might just take myself off to the movies, and just I'll just go to the movies by myself and enjoy that, and then now I'm in a different setting, and it just it feels better.
Can I tell you, like, this is a sort of fairly recent example, but of a failure, I think, to lean into that when I could have, because my birthday yesterday was a Thursday. It's not like people are around for it or you're doing that sort of thing, and we booked dinner on a night that everyone could make it, which was Friday night. Like, that's great. That's something to look forward to. But it did mean that yesterday my birthday was sort of just like a standard day.
Yeah.
I had some meetings, I had a later phone call that I was doing at like 7 to 8:30 at night for a project. And it's sort of like, it wasn't like a special day, though I had a nice day. And in the sort of middle of the afternoon, I had a choice. And for whatever reason, because I do work from home, I think it's easy for me to be hard on myself and think, well, you don't really have a hard job like other people do, so don't slack off. You haven't earned, like, I'll work on a public holiday because it feels to me like I haven't earned a public holiday.
Yeah.
And yesterday, I really, maybe I should have given myself a pass to like just read my book that day, or like play some video games, or like just take a day off. But I didn't do that, and I think it would have been nice if I had given myself that opportunity.
Yeah. Look, we will we have always and will always have our birthdays on the same day because we're born a week apart.
Yeah.
So we've had a few years, and I'm not complaining, okay? And I don't even know who I'd be complaining to, but
The council.
whoever created the 7-day week. But we've had a few of like Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, then back to Wednesdays. Give me and Nick a Friday or a Saturday.
Give me a
I'll take a
break.
Sunday,
Yeah.
man. Because it does. Look, we're 35, so we should really, grow up a little bit and stop putting too much emphasis on our birthday. But we grew up with loving children, loving parents. So
Yeah.
we were taught, we were conditioned to believe that our birthdays are special.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And we're special.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know where that rant came from, but
That's good. Anyway, do you have any sort of other happiness-related things you want to touch on?
well, do you think that you're happy now? Because I mean, you've sunk into vaguely depressive states, if not depression itself. Do you think you're getting happier as you get older?
I don't think that I've ever sunk into what I'd call a depression. I have definitely had the anxiety side of things, and I think, in those moments where I'm feeling low, it still tends to anxiety. It's me overthinking things, and it's me worrying about stuff I can't control, rather than it's me lying in bed unable to do anything. So I do think that I am happier than I used to be. I do think that what I'm aiming for is contentedness. I would like some more. It would be nice if cost of living wasn't so high and if work wasn't so difficult at times and all of this kind of like external factors that we've been talking about. But I would say moment to moment, I'm certainly content. And I guess working towards improving that going forward, because I have been on a pretty good trajectory with that, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's good to hear. I mean, it is it's something that people always talk about. I think when they do meditation or mindfulness, is that I'm kind of the same. When I find myself sometimes worrying about things that might happen. I think things that might eventuate. What's the worst case scenario of X going to be? And that is completely unproductive if you're constantly spending your life worrying about things that might not even happen yet. And yeah, a lot of these meditation guys will say, there is only this moment. There's only now, and that's all you can worry about. What's right in front of you right now? How do you feel right now?
Yeah, and it's very easy for us to not think about how we feel in the moment.
Exactly.
Both physically and emotionally.
Yeah. Actually, I was actually talking about this with Lauren in the car last week when we had a bit of a road trip, and we were both saying that we're both kind of prone to overthink a lot, and right now, in our lives, we don't really have anything to worry about. I mean, I'm not saying that we don't, but we both acknowledged to each other that great loving relationship, about to get married, financially we're both doing pretty well now. We've got all these things, we've like our house, we've got great friends. Like we could acknowledge that we are in probably the best position that we have both been in our lives.
That's
separately
awesome.
And then together now, which is kind of it's kind of a strange thing to think about, because in the past, like, I don't have enough money for this, or I've got issues with this person.
Yeah, my teeth
it's
have
nice
fallen out again because I bit a bottle of beer and just yanked that shit out.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not counting dental worries.
Of course, we all still have dental worries.
But yeah, it's nice to acknowledge it, and
Yeah.
I think even just reminding ourselves that everything's pretty good right now, and just write it.
That's
because things will probably go to shit very soon, and we'll probably get divorced. And
so it's coming from a pessimistic perspective of like, this will all go horribly wrong, but right now it's
Yeah.
quite good.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like an optimistic pessimist.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I thought that was a nice little area to discuss today. I'm glad that you're
You
happy.
really did pull that out your ass, didn't you?
Yeah, you know, I put these
You
links here
always
for
do.
a reason. Thank you very much. You got a seggy for me?
I just I've just been banking all these myths. I've been
Yeah.
incredibly. It's kind of contradictory to what I just said about being, happy. But
Now here's all the things I'm unhappy about.
my podcast notes will tell you otherwise. So let's do some myths. Michael's myth, and I'm displeased, riled up, offended, aggrieved, irritated, chagrined, pissed off, put out, resentful, and big discontented. Michael's myth. All right, I'm not even going to be able to get through all of these, so I'm just going to pick a couple. I need to. Okay, this one's This one's it's come up a few times lately.
Okay.
All right, the tip option on the FPOS after you've had dinner.
Oh.
So you go to have dinner, you go to pay for the dinner at the end, and then the checkout person, the waiter or whatever, says, and you have the option to tip there, but it's up to you. But they're right there.
Yeah.
They're right there. What do you want me to do? I have to do it.
Oh,
of course I have to do it.
I will look them in the eyes and I will press cancel and go straight on to the next page.
But that feels aggressive to me. But also, don't put me in that position. I think it's rude to put people in that position. I'm very against it.
I do find that most of the times that I've encountered that, there is an associated almost like apology from the there's this performative apology thing where it comes up on the screen and then the waiter is a bit like, I'm so sorry, sorry about that. Sometimes you'll even watch them cancel through it for you. Like they're so embarrassed that it even comes up that they do actually just get rid of it straight onto the end. But then sometimes they're like, as you say, and then it's just left there for you to decide. It does feel a little bit like, but you could, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
If you felt like it.
I mean, at a high-end restaurant, I would almost expect it. But last night, Lauren and I went late night shopping, Bunnings, and there was in the mall there was just like a Japanese place. It was very casual though, like not expensive.
Yeah, more Japanese.
The meal came to bloody $40, right? Nothing. Yeah. And I got the tip option. I was like, you did nothing. Yeah. We had to ask you to wipe our table down when we got there.
Yeah.
I mean, get out of here. All right. Second myth. This one's I don't think this is a problem necessarily in society, but I was very miffed this day. This happened on
if it was a problem in society, it would not be a myth.
So I was at the supermarket. It was Mother's Day. And I went in to get one thing, some curry paste, right? Just popping in, popping out. So it's a very small independent grocer, and I get to the counter and I come up at the same time as another woman, and she's got like a basket of stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm in no rush. It's a Sunday. So I go, oh, you go. Technically, I probably was there at a split second first.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, no, you can go. And I was a bigger man. I said, no, seriously, go. She's like a woman in her 50s or whatever. So she knows I'm waiting there. She knows I got one thing. I'm expecting this to be a very short and sharp situation. So she gets up to the counter and she strikes up a conversation, like an in-depth conversation with the checkout guy. She's asking him, oh, how's your mother? Have you called her? And he's like, yeah. He's kind of giving her a little bit back, but not like heaps.
Yeah.
And this conversation, I kid you not, went on for 4 minutes because I looked at my watch at 3 minutes.
I really thought that was going to be a bigger number, Michael.
Well, I mean, if you're just popping in to buy a bit of curry paste and then popping out, 4 minutes is a long time. Also, the lack of sheer consideration from this woman to strike up, basically doing a podcast right in front of me, get it together. And then also I heard this. This is why do I know this? She said, she was talking about Mother's Day with the checkout guy, and she goes, "Yeah, well, my mum's dead." So she says, "Your mum's dead," and at this point, I just roll my eyes and I said, "Get over it, okay? I need to get out of here.
I got a curry to make."
You're holding me up, going on about your dead mum on Mother's Day.
Look,
Jesus Christ.
Michael, there's been some criticism in this segment previously that I come off a little bit hot sometimes in responding to your myths. Would you like just supporting acceptance, or would you? Yeah. Is there a space here for perhaps a formal response from the opposition?
All right, give me a little pushback, a little, Nick. Go.
You're a fucking idiot. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Michael? She has a basket of shit. She has a full basket. She's looked at you. You're holding one can of paste. You've turned up at the same time. She said to you, "You go first." She's thinking, "Oh, one item. That'll be done in 10 seconds. Off you go." You declined twice to her face. And then you sit there and complain because she spoke to the guy on Mother's Day for 3.5 minutes when her mother just died. Sorry, Michael. I'm sorry. This is not an acceptable myth. Do better. Be better.
Jeez, I wish I chose the first option.
You should have done it in both situations, on the day and today. Get over yourself.
I'll leave it there. I can't take another beating.
If you've enjoyed this kind of thing, well, that's very kind of you. I hope it made you happy. There's plenty more episodes in the back feed, so jump onto that podcast play, pick one out at random. 177. I heard that's a good one. Don't ask me why. I feel like it is. There's plenty of ways to get in contact. I did say
Yep.
Get in contact with us.
Yes, you did.
To get in contact with us, like our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our email, deepthought@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram. You can listen to us on Spotify, both the podcast and our fancy music. So get in touch and enjoy your lives, because contentedness is all that we can aim for. How about some reckoning?
Whoa, scared me there.
Just because you stopped paying attention in the outros. I'll grab the keys.
All right, you drive.
Welcome to Deep Thought's recommendation engine.
Oh yes, good. I got a few things. Got a few things to throw out here, Michael. You got some
kick
recs?
us off. Yeah,
Okay.
you kick us off.
I'll throw out a little bit of TV to start with. Mentioned in passing recently, we've talked about this show when the first season came out. Girls Five Ever on Netflix. Just a really good, fun sitcom. A Tina Fey joint. 5 older pop singers from a girl group come back 20 years later to try and have another shot at fame. It's just really fast, really funny, really good. Great actors. Paula Pell, Sarah Bareilles. It's consistently great.
Great.
It's on Netflix now. They've moved over to Netflix, so you can watch all of it on Netflix. I find it very funny. It scratches that 30 Rock itch for me, which I loved.
Okay. I got a couple of movies. I reckon I'll just clump them together. I won't go into them too much. This is kind of an old one.
I'll briefly mention that one of your previous recommendations, the Nick Cage dream scenario, is just appeared on my streams, so I've got it listed. I'm going to check that one out for you.
Hell yeah, make a note of that. That is a cracker. This movie was nominated for an Oscar, which was in March. So it's been on my list for that long. But Anatomy of a Fall. It's a French / English film. It's an incredible film. Basically, it's a trial essentially, but not it's not like a classic courtroom drama.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a whodunit, and with a bit of relationship nuance there, and it's got a little bit of before sunrise energy, but then it's got this kind of real thriller aspect to it, which I just thought was fantastic. And there's the child actor in there that's the best child actor I've ever seen in my life. Zone of Interest.
Nothing but good things about that one, and I believe that's the one that had the dog at the Oscars. Is that right?
Yes, exactly right.
I mean, how can you go wrong when you've got a famous dog in it?
Incredible. Zone of Interest, which was a Jonathan Glazer who did Under the Skin. It's a movie about a family who, a German family who are living just outside of Auschwitz. It's a very heavy movie, but it isn't. I don't want to say it isn't because it obviously is. No, it actually is. I don't know why I said it isn't. It definitely is, but it's not It's not like you're seeing. You don't see anything
in your face confronting.
It's not in your face.
Situationally horrific.
It's implied. It's implied. The horror, because everyone knows the Holocaust. Blah blah blah. Oh, you can't say the Holocaust. Blah blah blah. Can you? That's probably not great. But yeah, the implication of it is haunting and horrific. It's kind of like what you don't see.
Yeah,
is what makes it so powerful. And he's an incredible director. And this, the sound design in this film is so crucial and executed so beautifully. And the last film here, I'll get out of your hair, is a movie called Sick of Myself, which came out a couple of years ago, but a very interesting story. Another Scandinavian, I think, Dutch, not Dutch,
Finnish,
doesn't matter.
Swedish,
you'll work it out. About a woman who decides to basically make herself very sick as a way to get attention. And if you've seen a movie which was probably my favorite movie of the last 10 years, The Worst Person in the World, you will absolutely love this movie. So there are my 3 movies. Go check them out if you haven't.
Film Crit Michael coming to play. Those are all. Who's the star of Sick of Myself? Is it a name that I know? I know the film, but not
foreign language film.
Yeah.
No known actors. No.
Yeah, those are some good recs. Like I said, I'm Anatomy of a Fall has also turned up on my streamings over here, so I've got both of them. I'm looking forward to them.
Nice.
I'll go into music for a brief bit here. There's a band called San for Mim who I recommended a few years ago. They did a album called The Cormorant 1 and 2 about 3 or 4 years ago that I absolutely hammered, and they've come out this time with an album called Arms, and it is explicitly a breakup album because both of the lead singers' relationships dissolved, and they just sort of decided to lean into it. But the music is as consistently good as ever and very sort of singable and good vibes, and I've been hammering it.
Who are they again? The Formant?
San Fermin.
You've recommended them to me many times, haven't you?
Yeah.
San Fermin.
Yeah. The album is Arms, and it's been really good. I've been giving it a lot. Okay. Do you have more, or do you want me to roll into another?
I'll go last.
Okay.
I got one more.
I might throw a little bit of like panel show comedy thing into here as well, because I'm in a bit of a kick at the moment. I've been watching this for years now, but I don't think we've ever talked about it on the show explicitly. I love me some Taskmaster UK. Have you ever watched any of the Taskmaster?
Yeah, the ones with James Acaster on that you've sent me, really.
Oh, yeah. James Acaster had a good season. The UK one at the moment is fine. The UK one last season, 16, was absolutely off the wall insane and wonderful. And also the New Zealand one is a very well-regarded variant. Like, you'll see a lot of international viewers talking up the New Zealand one too. Okay. So I've just always enjoyed that, and it's pretty reliable. And I figured it deserved mentioning. And then the other one that is in that similar sort of vibe, does the name like Dropout mean anything to you? College Humor? Back in the day, they had those like the online sketch kind of things. That company is now morphed into a online subscription comedy platform called Dropout, and they have a couple of sort of standout shows. The big one for me is Game Changer, which is a game show where they get 3 improv comedians on every episode, but the rules of the game are different every time. So sometimes it's like a fucked up version of Jeopardy. Sometimes it's a really crazy version of Simon Says. Sometimes it's like an escape room. Sometimes it's the Newlywed Game. Sometimes it's, they just have all of these insane rules. Sometimes you have to aim to be second rather than first in all of the things. So there's like strategy, and there's joking, and there's an insane kind of prompts and everything. It's very like memeable. There's lots of clips of it on YouTube. But if you like funny comedians being prompted to do funny things, it's consistently good.
Anyone I would know on there?
Not in terms of recognizable comic names, I guess, but now that it's gained stature and it's been around for multiple years, you're starting to see people come in. Like they get a Wayne Brady in for an episode, or they get, like some of the old like Who's Line kind of faces popping through, that sort of stuff. But it's kind of fun because they are like young, not known comics, so you don't have like preconceptions,
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm in a real game changer, make some noise kind of rut at the moment and enjoying it.
All right. What's happened to Thomas Middleditch? Is he down for the count?
That's an interesting question. I haven't seen. He did a weird sitcom for a few years where he was like a sperm donor or something like that, and then but it was like a mainstream 3-camera sitcom, and I don't know what he's up to now.
All right.
Because he had all of those like weird, like not like allegation things, but sort of like bad vibes was the
bad vibes.
He and Ben Schwartz were doing those improv shows on Netflix for a while.
Fantastic.
Great. But then Ben Schwartz has kept doing those and not with Thomas Middleditch.
Interesting.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, traitor. All right. So last rec from me. And I guess this is kind of a little bit on theme this week with our birthdays coming up. But my last rec here is using the Facebook birthday reminders to unfriend people that you shouldn't be friends with. That's a beautiful feature. I am losing at least a friend a day, just thinning out the herd. It's just a perfect feature. You're like, who the fuck is Tracy Shebowitz? I don't know. I literally don't know who these people are, but I want to thank Facebook for the birthday reminder thing, just to remind me to unfriend them and cut them out of my life completely.
2 thoughts here, Michael.
Good rec.
One,
I know.
It's really nice after an episode in which we drifted away from the concept that LinkedIn Mike reappeared at the end with his organizational suggestions for how to manage a contact list. So that's a really nice sort of circular thing, and I appreciate that. 2, Rec Engine is not for suggesting things which are not media.
You can't put
me in a box. And you did it deliberately, and I know we've had these conversations, Michael.
It's a recommendation, Nick. I don't know what to tell you.
That's not what the algorithm spits out. Like when I open up Netflix, it isn't like, oh, dream scenario. Oh, don't use your fucking Q-tips in your ears because you might jam the wax into the end. No, it only spits out movies, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm not Netflix.
Fucking hell.
Does that even mean anything?
I respect you taking a stand.